Is this thing on? Let's get this show on the road, shall we? Let's just go over to my PC and say, right, EO, started the stream. Hang on, I'll find a link. We'll go over to YouTube. Which should be telling us, right, yes, I see myself on YouTube. Can I hear myself?
Should be telling us, right.
I can hear myself, yes. Let's post that link somewhere, like Discord, maybe even Facebook. Facebook, magic. Make yourselves at home, you know, come in, have a cup of tea, all of that business. We'll be starting very shortly. I might wait until some people turn up, or if it doesn't look like anybody's turning up, one person in, that will probably be me. I'm going to say hello in the chat to myself. Let's just noodle around for a couple of minutes. What was I going to do? I was going to have some painkillers. That's what I was going to do. So I'm not going to have the proper strong-ass painkillers. So I'll know what I'm doing. I just need a couple of paracetamol. I'll bang those while we're waiting for some people to turn up. Number one. Presumably I can trim all this stuff off the top of the front of the stream at a later date. Oh, that's gone down the wrong way. Brilliant. It always happens. Always happens at the start of a stream. I drink something, it goes down the wrong way, and I can't bloody talk. Another paracetamol. Here we are on YouTube. Usually I do this on Twitch. But, I mean, for a while I couldn't do this on YouTube because I didn't have 50 subscribers, but I've managed to scrape about that many together now. So we're doing it on YouTube. Twitch just loses the video feed after 7 days. Just ping. We don't care. It's supposed to be ephemeral, I think. Hopefully YouTube will just keep it around forever, won't it? Isn't that the point of YouTube? Is you put things on and they stay there? I guess we will find out in the fullness of time. I guess they'll probably have something that screws me over because I'm a tiny little person. But we'll have to wait and see what that is, won't we? Nobody's turning up yet, are they? No. Should we do some more noodling? Would you just do a little bit more noodling? Noodle, noodle, noodle. I mean, for one thing, I've got to I've got to make sure that I can talk properly. Wilds of Eldraine, then. Here we are, Wilds of Eldraine. Well, of course, the most important, exciting new news is that Octagon have gone. Thank you, Octagon. Yeah, I was going to cheer then. What I'm actually going to say is thank you, Octagon, for your many years of diligent service. No, I'm not going to. I'm going to cheer. Hooray! Ding dong, the witch is dead. Wicked witch, the wicked old witch. Ding dong, the wicked witch is dead. Bye-bye, Octagon. We'll miss you. I mean, thanks for keeping the game ticking over and not have it die. But just barely, let's face it. And Webcore are here now. We don't know much about Webcore. We went to have a look at some of their games that they've written in the past. I didn't recognize a single one of them. I think somebody might have recognized one or two of them here or there. And, well, they wrote a big blog post that seems like they understand the game a bit, but then so did Octagon. If you go back and look on the forums, the old forums, when Octagon took over the game, they wrote a big blog post that made it seem like they understood the game a little bit, you know, and they were talking about concepts of Magic the Gathering as if they knew what they meant. But I guess they fired the person who wrote that blog post pretty soon after writing it, and just did the bare minimum for a few years. So the fact that Webcore have written a nice post about how they understand the game and how they want to keep everything shipshape and tight remains to be seen. You know, we don't know yet. We have to judge actions rather than words. We've had a lot of words from Octagon, and none of them meant anything. Mostly those words were, "Thank you for your feedback. I will share it with the team." That's what those words were mostly. Do we know whether Webcore have designed this set or whether Octagon have designed this set? Seems likely that Octagon wrote most of the code for this set, doesn't it? That's what I think. We'll probably, we'll probably get hints if the cards are absolutely covered in words that don't mean anything, then it's probably Octagon, isn't it? Then again, I imagine for the next, weeks, months, years, however long, Webcore will basically be doing the same thing that Octagon did, because they'll take them some time to get up to speed with running the game. So all of the bad design habits that Octagon had, the Webcore won't have had time to shape those, and probably won't for quite some time yet. So yeah, we'll see as we go along, but I'm going to kind of assume that a lot of the design work was down to Octagon. Shall we crack on then? There doesn't seem to be anybody here. Oh no, there's one other person here. Hello, sound off if you're in. Say hello. I'm going to just put the chat up on my PC screen. It will come up here, this little... Oh, no, go away.
Got it. I'll stop.
Yes, you bloody will stop. Go away. No, go away. Jesus Christ. Go away, Google Assistant. We hate you. Maybe I'll move that up just a little bit, slightly there. Last 38 minutes ago. That's too long ago. That doesn't look like he's there now. Where are we going? The first place we're going to Chrome. And we're going to have a look at the release notes. And have a look at the new mechanics and the new planeswalkers. What do we have? Roll and roll tokens. Rolls are icon evergreens that can be given to creatures. When a creature receives a roll evergreen, any other roll evergreens that were previously on that creature are removed. Okay, fair enough. When a creature receives a roll evergreen, a roll token support related to that roll is created. Below are the hints for the different rolls. When a creature gains a wicked roll, remove the rolls. Creature gains a wicked roll token, gets cursed, gets a young hero, gets a monster. Okay, so things can only have one roll, which makes sense. I'm not sure why the token's being created. Let's have a look at some of the tokens. Support. At the beginning of your turn, your creatures with wicked roll get +1/+1. Oh, okay, right. So it's the token support that's giving the ability to the creature. I mean, I guess it seems a bit ugly to me, but I guess that's how they're choosing to do it. Rather than adding more text onto the creature and needing to tap on the evergreen icon on the creature to see what it does, you can tap on the token on the board to see what it does. I guess. Not sure I like it, but that's what it does. Beginning of your turn, your creatures with wicked roll get +1/+1 for each of their reinforcements until the beginning of next turn. When a creature with a wicked roll loses it, is destroyed, or loses a reinforcement, your opponent loses 3 life for each of that creature's reinforcements. Gets really big and fucks up your opponent. Well, I mean, there's nothing wrong with wicked roll. Obviously, well, all of these rolls will be dependent on the kind of cards that create them. Maybe there'll be some planeswalkers that create them. Who cares? But that's a thing that makes your stack of tokens bigger and makes it fuck up your opponent when it dies. So why not? Yes. At the end of each turn, if you don't control a creature with wicked roll, destroy this support. It's going to say that on everything. You see what I mean about it being ugly? There's just a lot of text being duplicated all over the place here. If you don't control a creature with cursed roll, destroy the support. Yeah, when the support is destroyed, all creatures you control lose wicked roll. Oh, interesting. Okay, I was kind of assuming that the token supports would be infinite, but they're not. They have 3 shield, they stay on the board, and they can be destroyed. Presumably they're not resilient. They don't appear to be resilient or indestructible, so I guess you can just blow them up. Okay, interesting. So they seem a bit more like equipment, don't they? They seem like equipment that you can't duplicate. You can put a one type of roll on something, but you can't put another type of roll on the same thing, although presumably you can have 2 creatures with 2 different rolls. That seems fine, doesn't it? Cursed roll. Beginning of your turn, the base power and toughness of your creatures with cursed roll becomes 1/1 until the beginning of your next turn. Okay. That's right, yes. So we've had a buff before, and now we're getting a debuff roll. Fair enough. Young Hero. When a creature you control with Young Hero attacks, gets +1/+1 permanently. Fair. It's still very small. +1/+1. Still not very much, but at least it's permanent. Maybe Webcore will learn to stop writing until end of turn, all over their cards. That would be nice, wouldn't it? Monster roll. Beginning of your turn, your creatures with monster roll get +3/+3 and trample until the beginning of your next turn. Not very interesting. Yeah, you see, there we go. Monster roll. It's literally just an equipment, isn't it? It's just a more complicated way of having an effect that we've seen so many times and they've made it complicated in an uninteresting way. There might be cards that say when you change roles, do a thing. You know what I mean? Strictly speaking, you know, giving something +3/+3 with equipment and giving it with a roll is different, but it's not actually, is it? It doesn't feel at all different. It's just the same thing. Making it cursed. Yes. I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing this roll thing, to be honest. It's just, yes. It just seems like a way of doing things we already have in the game. At the beginning of your opponent's turn, they may drain X mana from their hand. Right, so I've got a creature with Royal Roll. My opponent can drain X mana from his hand. X is the number of creatures you control with Royal Roll ×4. Well, only one creature can have... No, that's not true. No, you can have multiple creatures with Royal Roll, but only... Any one creature can only have 1 roll. That's it, isn't it? Okay, so you can have multiple creatures with Royal Roll. If they don't, your creatures with Royal Roll gain hexproof and vigilance. Okay, well that's kind of... that's like a ward effect, isn't it? Interesting. Well, Greg's very bad at shooting creatures with wards, so that might be a decent way of protecting things. Sorcerer roll. When you cast a non-creature card, your creatures with sorcerer roll get +2/+2 until end of turn. When a creature you control with sorcerer roll attacks, fetch the first non-creature card from your library. Okay. Well, that's, you know, as a Johnny combo effect, isn't it? You know, you put something into play, loopity-loopity-loop, make something really big, it attacks, you even get a little non-creature card fetched when it does attack. So, yes, just... It feels like they could have done something really interesting and unique with rolls, and what they've done instead is just duplicated effects we've had in the game anyway. So I guess we'll see, you know, when we read the cards and also what they play like. Let's move on. Bargain is an ability that allows players to sacrifice a roll, okay, or support they control. Okay. See? Sacrifice a role or a support. Well, you could have just made the roles supports and then they wouldn't have to worry about that. Needless complexity. Or a support they control while casting cards with bargain in order to trigger additional effects. Okay, so this is like Casualty, isn't it? Casualty allowed you to sacrifice, the Cut Your Losses had Casualty, allowed you to sacrifice a creature to specifically, in that case, duplicate the effect of that card and create a copy of that card with mana. But I'm all for, it's a very black effect bargain, isn't it? You must bargain. Yeah, sacrifice your own stuff to get extra effects. I'm fine with that. We'll wait to see how good it is on actual things. Choose between roll, support, and none. If you choose roll or support, a random card you control of the chosen type. A random card you control of the chosen type is destroyed, and you perform the card's bargain effects. Not sure how good that's going to be. Of course, we don't know if the support is going to kill vanguards. So I suppose the advantage there of rolls over supports is you probably want to get rid of a roll because they're a bit shit. You probably want to save your supports because they're probably a bit awesome. So at least you get to specify which one is destroyed. It's weird, but maybe that's a bit handy, the fact that you get to choose between roll, support, or none. Celebration. Celebration is an evergreen condition related to the numerical value of cards that enter. Oh, my eyes are glazing over already. Jesus. The numerical value of cards that entered play under a player's control during each turn up to 2. When it says the numerical value of cards, does it mean the number of cards? Because that's kind of what it seems like it means. When a non-land card enters play, increase this card's celebration value by 1 up to 2. At the end of each turn, this card's celebration value becomes 0. Yes. So when it says the numerical value of cards, it means the number of cards. Because it seems like it's, the numerical value of cards seems like it's talking about costs or something. No, it's just talking about the number of them. So if you play 2 cards, a thing happens. Fair enough. Again, doesn't really need its own icon, but, you know, Paper likes giving things icons that don't really need their own icons. So they like to make things new and seem new like that when they aren't necessarily. So, yes, whatever. Nothing terribly. There is no recruit in here, isn't there? You know, it's like, these seem a bit dull to me, but at least they're not utterly pointless like Recruit was. Let's have a look at Ashiok Wicked Manipulator. I like me a bit of Ashiok. Let's have a look. Pick 2 of the first 4 cards in your library. Fetch those cards. Those cards gain 7 mana. Blimey. 7 loyalty. Pick 2 of the first 4 cards in your library. Fetch them, they gain 7. Well, that's really, really bloody powerful, isn't it? Ral is for 6 loyalty, is giving you 1 card with 6 mana in it. Ashiok for 7 loyalty is giving you 2 of them with 7 mana. That's very powerful. Now, we had this, didn't we, for the new Teferi, in that, was it the last set? There was a Teferi, and it had an ability. His first ability was like 7 loyalty to go and get the first 2 cards of your deck. I think it was specifically the first 2 cards of your deck, and put 5 mana in them. And then when they actually printed it, for some reason, somewhere in between, the cost of that got cut to 5 loyalty. So I'm suspicious of the loyalty costs. It'd be nice, wouldn't it, if this gets even cheaper? But that is a very powerful first ability. There is a little bit more there. Exile those cards. Those cards get the Nightmare emblem. We don't know what that means yet, but hopefully it'll mean something exciting. Create 6 Black Nightmare tokens. You may have them gain imminent death. Well, that's interesting, isn't it? Doesn't seem like there's much there. Nightmare emblem token, black nightmare. Oh, right, okay, it's a nightmare. So it's a nightmare token that is black. It's not a black nightmare token. It's a coloured black nightmare. Ability 1, nightmare. Oh, hang on a second. Black nightmare. Creature nightmare. Oh, it's a creature. But I don't know why I assumed it was going to be a support. It's a token. Tokens are generally creatures. Well, you never know these days whether tokens are creatures or not. So we got a 6/6 worth of power, which is, you know, too small for 13 loyalty, but again, it does some stuff. Let's see. Token Berserker Death Touch. Not particularly interesting. I mean, it will kill a thing, but I think of much better ways of killing a thing than a 6/6 creature for 13 loyalty. When this creature deals combat damage to your opponent's planeswalker, exile the top card of your library. The card gains the energy type _nightmare _title emblem. That's nice, yes. When this creature dies or loses a reinforcement, you lose 5 life. Why would I want it to gain imminent death then? That's what I kind of don't understand there. If I had it gain imminent death, I'm going to lose 30 life slowly as it dies. Whereas if I don't have it gain imminent death, I'm going to have it lose again. I'm going to lose 5 life when it dies. Why would I want it to gain imminent death? I don't understand that. Is that it? Let's move on. You'll never sleep again. Exile the top 10 cards from your library. Those cards gain the Nightmare emblem. Opposing creatures get -X until the beginning of your next turn. Your opponent loses X life. Gain X life. Interesting. X is the number of cards with the Nightmare emblem in your exile. Oh, I thought it sounded like they were going to do something a bit more interesting, didn't they? Cards with the Nightmare emblem. Sounded like they were going to do something a bit more interesting than just be counted up. Do we get any more cards? This is what I'm just sorry, I went quiet there, didn't I? What I'm thinking of is, do we get any more cards with the Nightmare emblem? Because it doesn't seem like we're getting a lot. We get 2 every time we use 7 loyalty. Yeah? And then with 20 loyalty, we don't... Oh, no, we do. We generate 10 more. Okay. So if we just go straight... Right. If we just go straight up to 20 loyalty, we get 10. Opposing creatures get -10, -10. Okay, that's big enough to kill a GR. It's not big enough to kill 2 GRs. Your opponent loses 10 life. You gain 10 life. That's what happens. And there might be more things. What's his passive ability? When you lose life during your turn, exile the top card of your library. Okay, this is why you want to give yourself, give the Black Nightmare tokens imminent death. It seems terrible. When you lose life during your turn, exile the top card of your library. This card gains the Nightmare emblem. If it's a black card, you gain life equal to half that card's mana cost. Blimey, that seems quite good. During your turn. Okay, so it doesn't trigger on being attacked, right? Fair enough. When you lose life during your turn, what are some good ways of losing life during your turn? I can't really think of anything at the moment. The top of my head. You're looking, you know, just something little that just pings you as it's going along, you know, like a little card drawing spell that deals you 2 points of damage as it's going along or something. You lose life during your turn, you might get some life back. And of course, we know that cards with the Nightmare emblem, all they do is add +1 to that You'll Never Sleep Again ability. So I don't think we're bowled over by the second and third abilities, but I think we are kind of bowled over by the first ability, which is extraordinarily powerful. How much life we've got? 106 life we've got on Ashok, which is just a little more than Ral, which is a little too little, to be perfectly honest. Rel doesn't really have enough life. I love Rel, don't get me wrong. He doesn't really have enough life. Hi, Chris. When did you come in? I just see you in the chat there. Oh, am I supposed to? Why does the chat sometimes show up coming off this little icon and sometimes it just doesn't fucking bother? Why is that? Who knows? I'll just try and yes, try and remember to be looking at my thing. Anyway, Ashiok, yes, good, I think. Yeah, seems like a good thing. Mana bonuses seem perfectly decent, don't they? They seem very good, actually, those mana. They look like Chandra has that set of mana bonuses. Doesn't Jace 2 have that set of mana bonuses? I'm just showing off now. This information is completely superfluous to anybody. But I quite like those. You've got two nice high ones. You haven't got any negatives. I quite like those mana bonuses. I will be getting Ashiok. Absolutely getting Ashiok. I can well see myself, depending on what colours I'm wanting to play, I can well see myself playing Ashiok, Wicked Manipulator, quite a lot. Moving on, Ren and Realm Breaker. What do we have here? Mono green. Destroy the top 2 cards of your library for 8 loyalty. It's starting to get quite expensive. Then pick one of the first 4 creature or support from your graveyard, put it into your hand. It gains X mana. X is the number of land cards you control plus 3. That's a bit poo, isn't it? it's a bit too expensive, and you need to put all the lands down first before you get anything. You only need one. So Casmina only needs to put down 1 support before her first ability, which is cheaper, starts giving her an appreciable amount of mana. You know, whereas Ren is having to put down a lot. So yes, bit too expensive there. Why? See, Webcore, hello, if you're listening. Oh my word, I've just noticed that Ashiok is mono black. For some reason, I just assumed he'd be black and blue, but I've just noticed he's mono black. Of course he's mono black, yeah, that's why he has a passive ability. Okay, so yes, well done making Ashiok more powerful because he's mono, but yeah, I feel like, yes, Realm Breaker need to be making more powerful because she's mono, especially mono green. I mean, mono green sucks. Let's look at ability 2. Target creature you control gains the land subtype. Right, well, that's not very interesting combo with the first ability, is it? It's all a bit expensive. It gets +X/+X, reach, trample, and hexproof until the beginning of your next turn. Oh, God. Oh. There's a skeleton of something good in here, but they keep ruining it, don't they? X is the number of land cards you control, including their reinforcements, plus the number of land cards in your graveyard. Okay, that's nearly something, isn't it? Number of land cards in your graveyard. We can put land cards into our graveyard somehow. I don't like it, though. Should we have a quick look at let's just have a quick look at the passive ability before we move on to the ultimate. When you make a match by swap of any color except green, okay, and we've got good mana bonuses there in all colors. Convert 2 gems to the most present color on the board. Increase your mana bonus of that color by 1 until end of turn. Yeah, it's a bit poo, isn't it? Yeah. When you're converting gems, what do we always say? When you're converting gems, the time that we're interested in doing that is before you make a swap on your turn. And the time that we're not interested in doing that, the bad time to do it is after you make a swap on your turn. And this very specifically happens after you make the swap on your turn. So we don't really like that a bit. I mean, yes, okay, it is still going to create some matches sometimes, give you a bit of free mana. It might also, though, set up some nice moves for Greg to take. So we would have liked that if it would have done the conversion before you did your swap. Let's move on to the ultimate ability. Create 4 rich soil tokens. 18 loyalty. Convert 7 gems to the colors of the first creature or support card in your graveyard. Well, that seems a bit poo. Lands generally are like colorless, aren't they? Yeah, we can't be converting gems into colorless gems. That won't happen at all. What are rich soil tokens? When you make a match by swap, return the first creature or support card with that match's colors from your graveyard to play under your control. Yeah, this has been designed by somebody who, see, this, it's hard to say, isn't it? This definitely has been designed by somebody who doesn't understand the game. Now, that's either means it's been designed by somebody at Octagon who obviously didn't understand the game, or somebody at Webcore who doesn't understand the game because they're new to it. We're giving Webcore a break still for a while. For a little while, we're going to give them a break. But yes, you know, they're all words and they all relate to the game, but they're not the kind of words that a player of the game actually likes to see. They're kind of words that a designer of the game thinks, oh, they'll look really interesting. The type of words that ChatGPT will think will look good strung after one of each other, but not the ones that a player of the game will think good. Tokens, Black Nightmare. Okay, yeah, no, we already looked at the Black Nightmare tokens. I don't think we like Ren and Realmbreaker. I still think we like Ashiok. Yeah, we do. There is that problem with it being mono black. Black and blue, I could have seen him really challenging for being, you know, a really great top tier planeswalker, right up there with Ral or Nicol Bolas or something like that. Mono, I think he's probably only going to be one of the best mono planeswalkers in the game. We all know how shit they are. I don't know. Maybe he'll be so good that he'll be nearly as good as a top tier dual color or triple color planeswalker. I can't see him getting into the absolute top tier as a mono black planeswalker. I don't think that's going to happen at all. You can quote me on that. I could be wrong, but you can quote me on that. Changes and fixes, fix the toxic things, yes. Fix the objectives, yeah. I don't understand this thing with them replacing objectives, but okay. If that's what they want to do, they want to join the game and just fuck around with the objectives in Return to the God Pharaoh, Tour de Ravnica, Roots of Ravnica. Okay, fine. Balancing changes, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I'm not particularly interested. Do you know, the thing that does interest me, obviously, they've nerfed Blade Core Serpent a bit. It doesn't look like they've done it a lot, though, does it? It looks like Blade Core Serpent is still kind of going to go off, doesn't it? With cut your losses and things. It's still going to be do loopy things. That's how it seems like to me. Rocco doesn't seem like it's going to make a fucking toss of difference. Did they do Rocco from 20 down to 12 so that he won't fetch Blade Core Serpents? Is that what it is? The important thing about Rocco, really, in Standard, is that Rocco loops with Joda, isn't it? So it's kind of going to make sod all difference to that loop, busting him down from 20 to 12. Don't know why they've done that. Curse of Vitality I find interesting because Octagon had years, well, a couple of years, to fix Curse of Vitality, and they just didn't. And now they're going to change it. So instead of killing somebody up to 60, it only half kills somebody. That's weird, isn't it? I bet it doesn't work. But okay, fair enough. Whatever they want to do. It's a shame. I've used Curse of Vitality loop with my alternate account sometimes. It's a useful kind of creatureless win condition, but yeah, whatevs. Right, let's go and have a look at the cards. Just the 2 planeswalkers. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Let's go and have a look at the cards. Doop-a-doop-a-doo. Where are the cards? Cards are over here. Magic Puzzle Quest. Righty-ho! Now, they've done this in a really confusing way, haven't they? Here is Swift Spiral, which is the adventure part of an adventure card with no cost on it. Surely adventure cards have costs, though, don't they? Yeah? Adventure cards, you get to choose. How do adventure cards work? You get to flip them over if you want, don't you? Isn't that how adventure cards work? So there's a creature side here. And this is a 4/4 for 10 mana with a couple of abilities. Ward. It's not particularly interesting. And you can flip it over to do this. And this should have a cost, but it doesn't have a cost. Unless the cost is 10. Presumably they'll put a cost in at a later date and they just haven't remembered to do it now. Exile target non-token creature, return the last creature card, the last creature from its controller's exile to the battlefield under their control with its reinforcements. That's decent enough. People will think of things to do with that, I'm sure. I'd prefer to just have straight removal, of course, being a control player. But this is not straight removal. It's more of a Johnny thing. Yeah, you know, that's a perfectly good card, I think. That's pretty much all I've got to say about that. Let's move along. Gumdrop Poisoner. Well, that's not very nice, is it? Poisoning gumdrops. 3/2 lifelink. We like lifelink. Is there? Yes, okay, there's some adventure down there. When you gain life, if this card is in your hand, increase this card's level by the amount of life you gain. That's interesting. When this creature enters the battlefield, target opposing creature gets -X/-X until end of turn. Well, that's an octagon thing, isn't it? Surely. -X/-X until end of turn. I mean, yeah, that might even end up being okay. You know, you might end up gaining quite a lot of life. You could have that in your hand with Dakon, couldn't you? And gain quite a lot of life using his first ability and put this down and kill something quite large. Or you could just fucking play a good creature removal spell. There's no need to have like a ropey removal spell attached to a lifelink creature, is there? When you could just play with a good removal spell. You just play with the good cards. That's how it works. you don't go, oh, this card is an interesting card stapled to a reasonably good card, so I'll have that. No, you play with the good cards. Let's see. Tempt with Treats, create a food token. That gains life, doesn't it? That is rubbish. So, yeah, we don't like Gumdrop Poisoner. Moving swiftly along. Baluna Grand Squall. Okay, she is a giant. At the beginning of each turn, reduce the cost of each adventure card in your hand by X until the beginning of your next turn. X is equal to 3 plus this creature's reinforcements. Well, no fuckers playing with this card, are they? Who cares? She is an adventure. Okay. She is going to do adventure things herself. What's her adventure card say? Destroy the top 6 cards of your library. Return the last 3 cards with adventure from your graveyard to your hand. Those cards gain X mana. X is the number of cards with adventure in your graveyard. Destroy the top 6 cards of your library. Return the last 3 cards with adventure from your graveyard to your hand. So if you're just playing that turn 1, seems very unlikely that those cards are going to gain any mana, doesn't it? Are you play? Is there a deck with 10 adventure cards that we're going to play? I don't think so. And I'm assuming she gets the. If you put this card here, Baluna Grand Squall, the giant noble, into your hand, she counts as an adventure card, right? You don't have to have her flipped over in order to have her count as an adventure and for her to be a Seek Thrills. Well, no, okay, because that says spell card on it. Neither of them says adventure card in the actual creature type. So it's just the icon that makes them an adventure, yeah. I think this is uninteresting. This looks kind of uninteresting. Maybe there's a deck to be built full of adventure cards. There never has been in the past. That's the only thing that gives me pause for thought, is there never has been an adventure. There's been a few adventure cards here and there that have been worth playing, haven't there? There was that little 1/1 guy who had Berserk and Death Touch, and who drew a card. He was almost playable, but not really. And then there was that lifelink berserking thing that turned into a removal spell that got rid of vanguards. That was almost worth playing, but not quite. See what I mean? There was that big green giant that converted green gems that was almost worth playing, but not quite. Less worth playing than those other cards, but not quite. So yeah, so adventure cards in the past have been shit. So it makes me think that this is going to be shit. But who knows? 13 mana for a 4/4 is definitely an interesting. But maybe there's some just kind of exciting, I'm playing with lots of adventure cards deck that we're all going to rush out and build. Who knows? It remains to be seen. Elusive Otter. Prowess. Somebody remind me what prowess is. It's when you cast a spell, isn't it, on your turn or something? Something like that. Or is that wizardry? Or is it both of them? Is wizardry the same as prowess? What's magecraft? Magecraft is the same again, isn't it? Why can't they just fucking decide on one thing? Somebody tell me what prowess is in the comments. Why isn't the text going? If I turn that off and back on again. There we go. Look, see, it's all come up on my screen because I turned it off and back on again. And all the text come up. Maybe when people say things in the chat now, maybe it will pop up on my screen, or I'll notice it. This creature +2/+2 until end of turn. This creature gets +2/+2 for each of its reinforcements until end of turn. Then each opposing creature with power lower than this creature's power gains can't block. I don't know how big that is. When you cast a spell, does that get big? Does that get really big? I don't know. I'm not particularly interested, to be perfectly honest. I mean, it is just a 1/1, isn't it? That's the thing. And in order to reinforce it a lot, you're going to have to like find other copies of it and actually cast them and reinforce it. So that seems particularly dull to me. Elusive Otter. Oh, it's got another side. Okay, your creatures get +2/+2. Yeah, I'm quite bored of that. I don't like that card. In the slightest, at the beginning of your turn, choose a role. This is right. Okay, this is a 13/13 for 18 mana, and it's also a big Christmas pudding with mouths. At the beginning of your turn, choose between role, support, and none. We saw that, didn't we, on the bargain mechanic. If you choose role or support, a random card you control of the chosen type is destroyed. Otherwise, this creature gains can't attack and can't block until the beginning of your next turn. Okay, so this is standard Octagon trap, isn't it? Yeah, they've made a card, they've put a downside on it, and they've decided that it's big enough to have a downside. But I'm afraid an 18 mana 13/13 with Menace and Trample is not good enough to have a downside. Guys, how you doing, man? Welcome in. Here I am on YouTube. So Devouring Sugarmore, just not interesting. It needs to have something. Do 13/13. How about 13/13 with lifelink? And whenever it hits somebody, you draw a card and it gets as much mana as the amount of life you gain. There you go. That's big enough to have a downside. This is not big enough to have a downside. Can you just keep choosing role if you don't have any roles? Can you do that with this? Can you have a 13/13 creature and you haven't got any roles and you keep choosing roles and it doesn't matter? And you just hit somebody with a 13/13. I still don't care. It's better if you can do that. Yeah? If you're allowed to choose, and we don't really know, do we? Because it could work in any way, really. If you're allowed to just play this, not play with any rolls, and just have a 13/13 every turn, that's better, isn't it? But I'm still kind of uninterested by it. You know, when my threats are Redversary, what's it called again? What's the red bloodthirsty adversary? That's the one, yeah. When my threats look like that, which costs 6 mana, and by the time you put 18 mana into it, it's bigger than this and has haste and is more exciting. Yeah, this is not a good card. It's definitely high shit tier though. Oh well, no, it might not be high shit tier. That's the thing. If you can choose roll when you have no rolls, it's very high shit tier. If you can't, and it has to keep destroying your stuff, then it's very low shit tier. This is the kind of card that you can't do anything with when you're mastering cards. Then very low shit tier. What have we got here? Roll support none. Okay. Create 2 white. Well, it'd be really nice to know what the cost was on this flip side of this card, wouldn't it? But we don't know that. Create 2 white human tokens. Create 2 food tokens. Not at all interested. So I guess the idea here from the designer, who's sitting back gleefully rubbing their hands thinking, yeah, I designed the shit out of this card. The idea here is that you play the flip side of the card, create 2 food tokens. They then stay in play, which is not a given, I'm afraid, while you then build up the 18 mana to play the front side of the card, and then you can eat the food tokens, which are still in play and haven't been blown up because they're fucking food tokens, apparently. And then 2 white human tokens do nothing but take up creature slots. I just hate it. Even though it might not be awful, I still hate it. Heartflame Duelist. When a spell you control deals damage to an opposing target, you gain that much life. Uninteresting, isn't it? That's uninteresting. That is not powerful enough. That is a build around effect with an effect that is not worth building around. I mean, I don't even want to call it high shit tier. It probably is high shit tier, but if you'll remember from the midst of time, we're trying to home in on a definition of what high shit tier means. And high shit tier means, it's the best card in a bunch of random cards that you're mastering. You have to build around this card. You can't just be that. So it's not high shit tier by definition. You can't just throw it into a deck you're mastering and have it be good. Have it be just a large, decently sized creature that helps you win a lot of games against level 1 of Fateful Showdown. Don't like it. Let's have a look and see. Well, presumably the flip side of it will deal some damage because Mr. Card Designer thinks they're really clever. Yeah, there you go. 4 whole damage to any opposing target. Ooh. Yeah, fuck off. Oh, I'm not supposed to be swearing today, am I? Never mind. Horned Lock Whale. It's eating a hippogriff, whatever the hell it is. Well, it's a lock whale, obviously. That's what it is. This is a 6/6 with Flash, Defender, and War. That's an odd combination of things. 11 mana 6/6. You can flash it into play and block with it, but it's not really big enough. When this creature enters the battlefield, if it's not your turn, it gains you can't. What's the point of that? What? What's the point of flashing it into play if it can't block? What? What? I don't even know. I can see the, Mr. Card Designer, whoever he is. I can see what he did with Heartflame Duelist, and I can see what he did with the Devouring Sugarmore. I have no idea what the fuck he was thinking with Hornlock Wow. Well, I mean, obviously, presumably what he was thinking was, here is a card in Magic the Gathering. I will put this card into Magic Puzzle Quest. I will make it exactly the same. It will be relevant because they are the same game. Well, fucking learn how to do your job, mate. Let's have a look and see what the other side of it does. Return target opposing creatures at the top of its owner's library. Oh, I mean, that's quite a powerful effect, though. Honestly, if this is cheap, if this side of it is cheap, yeah? If you get a decent removal spell, and it's stapled to a 6/6 defender, that might even be okay. How cheap is this side going to have to be? I reckon this side's going to cost about 10 mana, and therefore I'm not going to play it. If it was about 7 mana, we'd be starting to talk. I'm still probably going to not play it. I reckon this Lagoon Breach needs to cost about 4 mana for me to really think about playing it. Because much as I'm excited by a removal spell by a defender staple to it, I mean, really a 6/6 defender is shit, isn't it? The removal spell has to be really good for the shit defender to make any difference on my psyche at all. So yeah, if the Lagoon Breach costs like 4 mana, then I'll think about playing it. Otherwise, I shall not. Bramble for me. There's a lot of these adventures, aren't there? And they all seem to be rare. Are they all rare? Rare. Yeah, they all seem to be rare. Oh, well, that one up there was a mythic. That's interesting. Bramble Familiar. Here we go. When you match green gems, convert X gems to... Stop it! Stop doing that! The wrong time to be converting gems. The wrong time to be converting gems is after you've just made your swap. You want to be converting gems before you make your swap. Stop doing it. When you match green gems, convert X gems to green, X is equal to 1 plus this creature's reinforcements. Why are you gonna have more than one copy of this creature in play? Is this going to make more than one copy? Well, let's read the rest of this. When you exile a card from your hand, if it had 6 or more mana, you may return this creature to your hand. Yeah, I'm not really interested by that. Even if it returns straight into play, I wouldn't be interested by that. Let's have a look at the flip side. Destroy the top 10 cards of your library. Then pick one of the first 4 creature, enchantment, or land cards with the greatest mana cost from your graveyard. Okay, so you're not really picking... Pick one of the first 4 creature, enchantment, or land cards with the greatest mana cost from your graveyard. So presumably you're not picking at all, are you? Yeah, because it's going to select the greatest mana cost, and if only... Chances are only one of them is going to have the greatest mana cost. So you're not really picking at all. However, I like to move the card to play under your control. So we finally got to a relevant thing on the card. We don't like 10 mana 2/2. We don't particularly like... Yeah, we definitely don't like 1 plus this creature's reinforcements. We definitely don't like that. Returning this creature to your hand, we don't much like that. But actually, having said that we don't like it, when we do return this creature to your hand... Oh, do we return it? Ah, right, hang on a second. When it says return this creature to your hand, it means from play. It doesn't mean from the graveyard, does it? Well, why would you want it in play? If the whole point of it is that you want to get excited by the fact that it's in your hand and you want to play the flip side of it, why would you have even fucking cast it in the first place? Yeah, I've really given up on this not swearing thing, haven't I? So we don't like this side of it at all, but we quite like destroying 10 cards, and then the most expensive thing that you have, boom, goes into play. That's pretty good, isn't it? How much do you reckon that cost? I reckon 18 mana. It might go as high as 25. Who knows? Because my radar for how much things should cost is generally much lower than how low Octagon tend to set these things. Goz thinks this will be broken. It could well be. Who knows? I mean, I do think it's going to be expensive, Goz. I do think this side of the card is going to cost you quite a lot of mana. But, you know, fetching a thing. Don't forget, like I say, you're not going to get to pick what it is. But, I mean, you can just play one with a multiverse. If you put the most expensive thing in your deck and make sure it has the most expensive cost, this thing is pretty much guaranteed to get it out. It might whiff, but it's pretty much guaranteed to go and get whatever the most expensive thing that you put in your deck is and just drop it into play. This is definitely one to watch, I think. Without costs, I'm not going to go as far as to say that it's broken, but I think you could be right there. It's fascinating, isn't it? Because this side of it is just absolute dog shit. Nobody cares about this side of it. Whereas this side could really be a card. You want to send it back to your hand to recast your spell? Yeah, but I get that. Yeah, you would want to put the Bramble Familiar back in your hand so that you could cast Fetch Quest. But why would you have ever cast the Bramble Familiar in the first place when it wouldn't, you know, you would have drawn it and you would have thought to yourself, well, shall I cast the Bramble Familiar so I can then return it to my hand and cast Fetch Quest? Or shall I just cast Fetch Quest? Do you see what I mean? Why would you ever put this into play in the first? There are silly reasons why this might have sprogged into play, but no sensible reasons why this might have sprogged into play. Why would you build a deck that makes you sprog these things into play? I don't know. Anyway, yes, the front side of it is shit. The back side of it probably really good. Let's move on. Decadent Dragon. When this creature attacks, create a gold token. That doesn't look big enough, does it? For a 13 mana 4/4. Does not look big or interesting enough at all. Green conversion. Yeah, but shit, green conversion. That's not green conversion. Nissa's Pilgrimage is green conversion. That's terrible green conversion. Convert X gems to green. X is equal to 1 plus this creature's reinforcements. What? I've spent 10 mana to put this thing into play. And when I match some green gems, I get 1 more green gem. That's terrible conversion. If that's the kind of conversion you're relying on, then God help you. You'll be playing that for conversion. We're looking at the flip side of the dragon. Fetch the first 2 cards from your opponent's library. I reckon that is going to... It's called expensive taste, isn't it? I reckon that's going to cost too much. Generally, fetching cards from your opponent's library goes one or two ways, doesn't it? Either you have to pay for those cards, in which case it's a shit ability, or you don't have to pay for those cards, like with Atali, and it's a completely broken ability. And here, you have to pay the mana for the cards when you get them, so it's not going to be particularly interesting. So this card looks dull. Moving on. Scalding Viper. When an opponent casts a card that costs 11 or less, deal X damage to your opponent's Planeswalker. X is equal to 3 plus this creature's reinforcements. Now I can hear all the Johnnies getting really excited now about this being some kind of anti-combo card. It's a very small anti-combo card, isn't it? It's a very easy to kill anti-combo card. It's an anti-combo card that doesn't actually kill your opponent any very quickly in the slightest, unless they happen to be definitely playing a combo deck. Will it still be good? Oh, I don't fucking know. Who knows? Who knows what combo's going to be like? How is combo these days? It's not like standards rotating, is it? I mean, they've nerfed Rocco to the point where Joda's still doing exactly the same thing. Why is that? That was weird. Okay. Apparently I zoomed in. Yeah, apparently I zoomed in on the card there, even though it was exactly the same size. Right, I've zoomed out on the card now, and it's still the same size, but now I can scroll it again. Yes. Okay. Yes. Fine. This is a card that works against combo, and that's what it does. And bear that in mind, I suppose. But I'm not interested. What's the other side? String. Return target creature to its owner's hand. Okay. Okay, it's fine. Maybe there'll be a place for it. Maybe there won't. I just can't get excited about it. Maybe it's even better than high shit tier. Who knows? Kellen the Fey-Blooded. At the beginning of your turn, we've got a double striker here. Double strike's always a relevant ability. 12 mana 2/2 is a bit small, but it is a double striker. At the beginning of your turn, your creatures, all of them, get +X +0 until end of turn. X is a number of equipment and aura cards you control, plus the number of aura spells in your graveyard. This thing is going to hit people very hard indeed. It's a question of how easy it is to set up, isn't it? I mean, we do have some nice auras, don't we? We have Sigada's Imprisonment is quite a nice aura. And we have, well, that's literally the only one I can think of. But at least it's in the right colour. Equipment tends to be shit. And of course, instead of printing equipment in this set, we've got fucking rolls that should have been equipment. So there is the possibility for this guy to hit people very hard. It's a question of how easy it is to set up and how good those other cards will need to be in it. Keep an eye on this guy. Could be very powerful indeed. Or not. One to watch. So there's a lot of graveyard fill in this set. Well, if there is a lot of graveyard fill in this set, and there are auras, we'll try and keep an eye out for like auras and things. And I suppose even equipment, I guess. Then yes, this could definitely be one to keep an eye on. Probably want to get this guy off the board if he comes down, even if you don't know how he's going to hit you very hard yet. What have we got? We've got fetch the first equipment or aura card from your library. Okay, fair enough. Why not? That's not especially powerful, is it? What we'd like on the backside of him is like, dump 10 cards in your graveyard and fetch the first aura back again. You'd like something like that, wouldn't you? But, fetching an aura, it's probably going to be too expensive as usual. It's probably going to cost 10 mana and just be way too expensive. So you're not going to be relying on the flip side of him to pump the front side of him. You're going to need better stuff to do it. Crawl Somnophage. At the beginning of your turn, this creature gets +X until the beginning of your next turn. X is the number of creature cards in all graveyards. Again, that could be quite big, couldn't it? That could be quite big. Let's have a quick look at the other side. Destroy the top 4 cards of target player's library. Mill 16. Instead, destroy the top 4 creature cards of that player's library. I'm not sure we much care about the difference there. Mill 16 is quite a lot, isn't it? I mean, it's fine. It's fat. It's a big threat. Am I going to be playing it over Bloodthirsty Adversary? Am I going to be playing it over Tainted Adversary? No. It's a threat, and it's not going to be as good as any of the premier threats in Standard at the moment. It's again, it's not even high shit tier because you've got to build around to make it good, and nobody's doing that when they're mastering cards. So, yeah, kind of on the pile, I think. You might face a deck that somebody's built in standard because they're the kind of person who likes building decks. So, yeah, it's not awful, but I don't like it. Mosswood Dreadnought. Are all the rares? We seem to be just running into a stupid amount of adventures. If this was an Octagon set, they would have got bored of the mechanic by now, wouldn't they? Feels like. Did they make this many adventure cards in Eldraine before? Maybe they did. I don't know. I can't remember. This is an 11 mana 3/2. That's not good enough. When this creature dies or loses a reinforcement, draw a card. It gains 3 mana. You lose 3 life. That's extraordinarily dull. Draw a card. It gains 3 mana. You lose 3 life. Now again, maybe the flip side. Maybe that's going to cost 1 mana. Yeah? Maybe that's going to cost 1 mana, that card, and it will therefore find a place in a deck somewhere that somebody wants to play. But I very much doubt it. Not interested in that card. Virtue of Loyalty. At the end of your turn, your creatures get +1/+1. Creatures you control get +1/+1 for each of their reinforcements. Right, so it's your creature. You've got to be very careful of the distinction here. This is very important. Your creatures get +1/+1, but creatures you control get +1/+1 for each of their reinforcements. Now, be very careful not to get those two things mixed up. Yeah, it's an easy mistake to make, but just make sure you're very careful with that. Yeah, your creatures gain vigilance until the beginning of your next turn. Your creatures with stun counter lose stun counter. Well, who fucking cares about stun counter? Jesus Christ! Does that mean we're gonna get stun counter in this set? Is stun counter in this set? I think we're not interested in this. I think pumping up, even though it's a permanent pump of +1/+1, I think putting a 19 mana down to do that, I think is uninteresting. There is a flip side. Let's have a look at it. Create a white Vigilant Knight token. Oh, again, that could be interesting. Maybe this costs like 2 mana. Maybe it's a 10/10 Vigilant. It's not, is it? It's clearly a 2/2 white Vigilant Knight token because that's how big these things are. Maybe it's a 2 mana spell to put that into play. It could be as little as 5 mana. But I think it's still dull. If we assumed this was, let's be silly and say this costs 2 mana to put a 2/2 Vigilant Knight in play, and then 19 mana to pump it up. That's still kind of too expensive, isn't it? I'm not interested as a spike. The Johnnies aren't interested because they're not paying 19 for something that only gives something +1/+1 every turn. So who cares? The Timmies certainly don't fucking care. The Timmies are too busy playing with that 13/13 that fucking can't attack. They're loving that guy. Nobody likes Virtue of Loyalty. Maybe the Vorthos like it. I don't know. Is that the Brightstone ring there, glowing away, hovering in the air? It reminds me of some artwork from an earlier Magic card. Who knows? I do not like that card. Virtue of Knowledge. Right, this is a blue enchantment. Surely, a blue mythic enchantment. This is going to be a good one. It's got a lot of text on it. That means it's good. It's got a flip side to it. That means it's good as well. This card has everything going for it before we start reading it. Let's have a look. When you cast a creature card, if it doesn't have the knowledge emblem, create a copy of that card in your hand. That copy's power and toughness are debuffed to 0/1 and it gains a knowledge emblem and full mana. Wow. So we didn't like the 0/1 thing. But this is basically two copies of every creature that you play. Yeah. So for example, let's just pick a creature out of the air, just a random creature out of all of the different. Let's say Blade Quill Serpent. Yeah. So you play a Virtue of Knowledge. Yeah. You play a Blade Quill Serpent. You immediately get a second Blade Coil Serpent that is only a 0/1, but does all of the triggering things that it comes into play, things that it does. I still don't like this card, because I'm me. But, I mean, this one is getting the Timmies and the Johnnies excited in a way that they just didn't care about with Virtue of Loyalty, isn't it? They're already frothing at the mouth over this, and it's the Blade Coil Serpent thing that's making them do it. Rocco. Yeah, all kinds of stuff. I mean, you'll laugh, but my first instinct, the first creature that I thought of where getting a second copy was Harbinger of the Tides. That's just how I think. I'm sorry. I just don't go directly to broken combos. I go directly to just fairly good quality control cards. Oh my god, does it do it for supports as well? Holy shit! When you cast a support card, if it doesn't have the knowledge emblem, create a copy of that card in your hand. That copy gains a knowledge emblem and full mana. Now, earlier on in the set, Goz was saying, oh, that card was completely broken. And we didn't know the cost, and I wasn't prepared to say, well, that card was completely broken, because I didn't know what the cost of it was. I don't know what kind of environment this card is going to go into. I don't know what it's going to copy. I am prepared to say that it's probably completely broken. Jesus. I mean, yes, okay. A lot of supports, when you copy them, are just going to put the same, so they're just going to reinforce the same support on the board. But a lot of them kind of aren't, you know? And there's another side to this card as well. There's all that goodness on the front side. There's another side to this card. Oh, hang on. I've zoomed in again. Spell card. Create a copy of target creature you control to your hand. That copy gains... Jesus fucking Christ. This thing is bonkers, isn't it? It's like, well, I've played this early and now I've got a Blade Coil, and so now I've got a double Blade Coil. But oh no, what happens if I draw it late? Well, if I've drawn it late and I've already played my Blade Coil, boom, I'll have another fucking Blade Coil anyway. Jesus. Yeah, surely this is going to be... I can't see a world in which this isn't good. I am going to be going after this card. This is surely a chase card, isn't it? Oh, hey, Lars. How you doing, man? Welcome in. You've joined us at the right time, actually. I've been very unimpressed by everything, but now I'm being impressed by Virtue of Knowledge, which just seems completely boss. Unfortunately, the fucking Johnnies are probably going to ruin it for everybody by putting it into combo decks, aren't they? Yeah, they're going to slap this into their Blade Coil loop rather than just being happy with the good value of having double Blade Coils out of everything. They're going to slap this into their Blade Coil looping deck and just go even more crazy. In fact, they might have to slap this into their Blade Coil looping deck these days, because they've nursed Blade Coil down just a little bit, haven't they? So Blade Coil's just a little bit worse than it used to be. Surely must be good. And I will be going after that one, I'm sure. Oh, there's a Virtue apparently in every colour. This could be interesting, couldn't it? At the beginning of your turn, pick one of the first 4 creature cards from your graveyard and move that card to play under your control. Yep. Nothing wrong there, is there? That is a very, very powerful effect, and we love it. 18 mana's a bit too much. 3 shields is okay. 2 shields would be bad. If this was 2 shields, I'd hate it. 3 shields is good enough for me to quite like it. Yeah, this is fine. Fine. This is very powerful indeed. Very powerful indeed. Probably not as powerful as the blue one, but I mean that's as it should be. Yeah, the law states that blue is 3 times more powerful than everything else. Yeah. Let's have a look and see what the other side does. Till end of turn, target creature gets -3/-3. That creature gets -2/-2 creatures reinforcements. I mean, fine. I kind of don't mind this. Yeah? I know it's a shit removal spell, but I kind of don't mind having a shit removal spell stapled to the back of a really, really amazing card. Yeah? It's a little like Concoct. What was the other side of Concoct? The flip card, you know? I used to use it to put Urzas into play. And just every so often I would steal control of something with power 2 or less, you know? And it would have been a terrible idea having a card in my deck that stole control of creatures with power 2 or less. But because it was on the back of something that could put Urza into play, I can't remember what it's. Concoct was definitely the reanimation side. It was that Surveil card. I still play it to this day. So, yes, in short, you know, no matter how bad this side of the card is, you'll still play it every so often. Connive, thank you, Gauze. Thank you very much. Yes, I would still cast Connive just every so often. I didn't put it in the deck at all to be cast, but it would still happen every so often. So, yeah, having a terrible card stapled to the backside of a really good card, I kind of don't mind. Like, you can even gain a little bit of life. I mean, that can cost fucking 15 mana for all it likes. I don't care. I'm going to be casting this side of it. Let's have some more virtues, please. Oh, this is an 8 mana one. This looks good. Oh, dear. I see the word outcast. This is probably going to be a shit one then, isn't it? At the beginning of your turn, hey, somebody probably better tell Webcore about outcast. They probably don't know about outcast. They could think it means anything. Who knows what they think it means? We should tell them what it should mean. At the beginning of your turn, draw a card against 3 mana and outcast. Well, that's terrible. When a source you control deals non-combat damage to your opponent's planeswalker, the last card in your hand with outcast gains mana equal to that damage. Well, is that shit, isn't it? Whatever. Whatever! Deal 40. Yeah, I should have guessed that's what the flip side of it was going to be. Yeah, have fun with your rubbish outcast cards. Outcast is a terrible, terrible mechanic and everybody hates it. Virtue of Strength. At the beginning of your turn, increase your mana bonuses by 3 until end of turn. Is that worth 16 mana? Some people are going to like this card. I don't think I like this card for 16 mana. Yeah. I mean, you think about it on a very basic level. If you make one swap every turn, yeah, it's going to generate 3 extra mana, no matter what color it was, unless it's loyalty. Yeah. So this is going to take 5 turns to pay for itself. If you're making more than one swap every turn, if you're making multiple, and you might be, you're getting cascades normally, but it's still going to take a while for it to pay for itself. And if you're getting loads of mana, then who fucking cares if your mana bonuses have gone up a little bit because you're getting loads of mana. So no, I don't like it. What's the other side? Is this going to be a conversion? It's not. No. Return the first creature or land support from your graveyard to your hand. If the last card in your hand is a land card, it gains full mana. Not a creature card. It's not going to put a creature card into your hand. Again, that's going to be expensive, isn't it? I feel like that's going to cost quite a bit. This side of the card. It's going to make it bad. Your lands have got to be going. You've got to be putting your lands down quick, you know. Feckling has to have gone on. You have to have done some feckling, some playing around with stuff in order for there to be a land in your graveyard and for it to come, for you to cast this and for it to come back into play and for you to get full mana and to put it into play. And by the time I've done all of that feckling, I, as a spike, want to have already cast my lands. Probably that very land that's going to come back into play. So I'm afraid I don't like this card. I don't like either side of it. I am not interested. Questing Druid. Oh, hello. This is a Quirion Druid, isn't it? Quirion Druid is a card that I believe used to get some play in like Vintage, didn't it? Didn't people used to play Quirion Druid in Vintage? It was that fucking big. Can't quite remember, but it was a decent creature anyway. When you cast a white, blue, black, or red card, this creature gets +1/+1 permanently. This creature gets +1/+1 for each of its reinforcements. The question is, do we care? Isn't it? The question is, do we care? If we're not looping, it doesn't seem like it gets very large at all. If we are looping, then we're looping with Blade Core Serpents and Cut Your Losses and stuff like that. And do we need this card in the deck at all? Yeah. Not good enough, is it? Not good. That's a shame, isn't it? Quirion Druids. Anyway, let's have a look what the flip side does. Discard the last card from your hand and draw 2 cards. The last 2 cards in your hand gain 4 mana. I mean, that might be cheap. It is a red card, so this spell itself is going to pump up this side of it. It just generally seems this might be okay. It might be okay if your primary use of it is, you know, discarding a card and drawing 2 cards. It feels like if that costs 4 mana, then maybe. But it feels like we probably want to just be playing with a Broker's Charm, doesn't it? You know? And then this side of the card is just a spandrel, really. It's just a thing that happens to be on this side of the card, which is the reason we would want to play it. So, and I mean, I guess that's fine. I guess if you do have a little cantripy card in your deck that's drawing some cards, it just happens to have a creature on the other side that might deal a few points of damage every now and again, I guess that's okay. We'll see. If that costs 4 mana, maybe it'll be playable. Have we finally moved on from all the adventures now? Looks like maybe we have. This is Talion the Kindly Lord. Hello, Talion the Kindly Lord. When your opponent casts a card, if it has the same type as the first card in your hand, draw a card. Okay. The last card in your hand gains 6 mana. Your opponent loses 4 life. We don't know. We don't know if that's going to be an anti-combo thing, because we don't know if it's going to trigger that 4 life loss if you already have a 6-card hand. We don't know if it's going to trigger the 6 mana if you already have a 6-card hand, do you? You know? If you put a spell in at the start of your hand, it is possible that your opponent's looping deck will put a card into your hand and pay for a really expensive card that happens to be at the bottom of your hand. I still don't think we particularly like it. I guess it's okay. I mean, this looks high shit tier to it. This definitely looks like the kind of card that you throw in a mastery deck. You have a creature at the top of your hand, because of course you do, and your opponent plays creatures, and you get some free cards and some free mana and some free life loss. This is definitely a high shit tier card. I'm not sure it's better than that, though. Not sure it's better than high shit tier. Remains to be seen. Will. Now, isn't he part of that duo, Will and Rowan and Will? Isn't he? I think so. What have we got here? We've got lifelink, but on a 2/4/13 mana. Oh, maybe he'll be bigger. He's got level. When you gain life, increase this card's level by the amount of life you gained. Okay, this might be interesting. At the beginning of your turn, reduce the cost of blue or white cards in your hand by X until end of turn. X is this card's level. This card's level becomes 1. Yeah. I mean, I guess it's a bit expensive. It's a bit flimsy. It's okay, isn't it? It's okay. It might just let you drop your hand. You know, Dakon certainly has got a very easy way to gain a fairly decent amount of life on his turn. So maybe that's all I've got. All I've got is maybe. It's I think it looks worse than it is, actually. I think the 2/4/13 mana is making it look worse than it is. I think it's probably better than I think it is. You all out there are probably going, Steve, obviously this is broken as fuck. I can't get that far. But I think it's probably better than I think it is. Let's move along. Rowan. Oh, yeah, there we go. They are the twins, aren't they? What have we got here? We've got 11 mana, 4/2 menace. That's even worse than the last one. When you take damage or lose life, increases card's level. Reduce the cost of black or red cards in your hand. When you take damage or lose life, increases card's level by the amount of damage taken or life lost. At the beginning of your turn, reduce the cost of black or red cards in your hand. So I'm just reading this carefully because we had a card that was doing this before, and it specified it was Ashiok, wasn't it? It was the Planeswalker, and it specified you had to lose life on your turn for the thing. But with this in play, with Rowan in play, you can just get attacked, can't you? Yeah? So I've got a handful of cards. If I play one of these, my opponent attacks me, this thing's level is going to shoot up. Yeah, that's right, isn't it? When you take damage or lose life. And then at the beginning of my turn, I'm going to drop my hand. That's kind of powerful, isn't it? I mean, I kind of prefer that to this one, to be honest. It's a lot easier to be hit by attacking creatures than it is to gain life. There's nothing wrong with gaining life. And like I say, I do quite like Will. But I like 11 mana a bit, 2 mana more than I like 13 mana. And yes, I mean, if you're not careful with it, if your opponent plays this and you just attack, they might just go, oh, there you go, there's my whole hand then. I mean, that's definitely good. The question is whether it's really good. Maybe it's really good. I still feel like I should like that more than I like that, but I don't. I think I like that. And I think it's my spike senses saying that 4/2 is better than 2/4 and 11 mana is better than 13 mana, which obviously means nothing. That's not what's interesting about these cards at all. But that seems like it's very powerful indeed. You control the heal more than damage, since Greg might have trouble getting creatures on the board. Well, not if you let Greg get creatures on the board. The only reason Greg has trouble getting creatures on the board is because I shoot all of them. Now, of course, you can take damage from things that you do yourself, Obnic Solis deals in self-damage and Lolth deals in self-damage fairly. These all happen fairly easily. That seems really good to me. And I'd be interested to see what people can do with those. Both of those cards seem really good. This one seems better. Don't like that artwork. What have we got here? When you cast a spell, okay, this is your classic loopy finisher. No haste on it though. What have we got on the other side? Pick one of the first 4 spell cards from your graveyard, then fetch those cards. I like how they've arranged those words artistically on the card. I mean, I guess. Like I said, I think we're beyond loopy finishers like this. You know, back in the days of Wizard class, they might have liked these kind of loopy finishers. But, I mean, Thermo Alchemist just used to deal the damage, didn't it? It didn't used to have to attack. And didn't one of the creatures that pumped up that went in Wizard class didn't have haste? I think we're probably beyond creatures like this. But it's not offensive. When you match a food supports gem, he's sitting there now, isn't he? Going, oh, you just wait until you see the other side of this adventure card, Steve. You're going to be astonished at the clever design work that I've done. He's rubbing his little hands in glee. I am the best game designer in the entire world. Create a food token! There it is! Oh, he never saw it coming! He never saw it coming! You put a food token into play. You play a hollow scavenger. You match the food token support. You get a sweet +2/+2 out of the deal. Suck on it. Wow. Expel the interlopers. Destroy target creature. Okay, 10 mana's a bit expensive. Then, destroy all creatures with base power X or greater. X is equal to that creature's power. So you destroy targeted one thing, and then you destroy everything else. Untargeted, that's bigger. Leaving your 0/1 green mana generating 5 mana, you all know the thing that I'm talking about, yeah? On the board, yeah? Leaving that on the board. Leaving whatever small creature you have that is really good on the board. This is okay. Of course, this has the downside of the fact that if all your opponent is putting into play, it's just GR after GR after GR. You're a bit fucked, aren't you? Because you can't target it. But it's okay. And I think in the pantheon of removal spells, I don't think it's going to make the cut anywhere. But it might. Who knows? But I mean, you know, I'm not playing this one. I can reach a Void Rend. Am I? Eriette of the Charmed Apple. Okie dokie, I see what they've done there. When an aura card enters the board or enters your graveyard, the first opposing creature without can't attack gains can't attack. Just gains it. Not until end of turn, just gains it. It's going to wear off, surely, isn't it? Isn't it? It's going to wear off, isn't it? Eriette, tell me it's going to wear off, please, God! At the end of your turn, your opponent loses X life and you gain X life. X is equal to the number of creatures with can't attack your opponent's control. So this just fucking locks down everything. All you have to do is dump a bunch of cards into your graveyard, and this just fucking locks down everything forever. Is that what's happening here? I must be reading this wrong. When an aura card enters the board or enters your graveyard, the first opposing creature without can't attack gains card. Right, so it does. It's an untargeted effect, but it still goes down the line of your creature, of your opponent's creatures. This is going to get a nerf, surely, isn't it? People are going to fucking hate this. At the end of your turn, your opponent loses X life and you gain X life. X is equal to the number of creatures with can't attack your opponent's control, including... Yeah, it's just permanent. This just locks everything down, and then your opponent slowly dies of life loss, and you gain life while it's happening. And that's bonkers. That's fucking insane. Who the fuck designed this card? That's a stupid card. Yeah, people are going to hate this. It is going to lock down everybody's entire attacking line. It's going to get a nerf. I'm not one for necessarily calling nerfs on combo cards early because I don't fucking know. I don't play combo as much as other people do. But this is going to get a nerf. Oh my God. Get yourself one of those. Why not? It'll be a laugh. Besotted Knight is a 3/3 for 7 that also says target creature gets the royal roll. Should we have a quick look and see, remind ourselves what the royal roll was? You may drain, it gets hexproof and vigilance. Oh, that's right, yeah, okay. So it's not really getting hexproof, it's really getting a kind of ward. So we don't mind giving our creatures a ward. We still kind of think that Greg doesn't pay for ward, don't we? Isn't that what we think? I've completely forgotten where I was now. There we go. We still kind of think that Greg isn't paying for ward, so that this effect is kind of gonna say. So say you put it on, for example, oh, I don't know, Ariat of the Charmed Apple. You've kind of got a hexproof creature then, even though they could technically pay for the hexproof to wear off. So obviously we don't care about this side of it, but yeah, giving something hexproof, if that indeed is what it does, is at least a little bit interesting. Pollen Shield Hair. God, there are a lot of these adventure cards, aren't there? At the beginning of your turn, token creatures you control get +1/+1 until the beginning of your next turn. They get +1/+1 for each of their reinforcements. Oh, it's so ugly. This word, they've reused this wording a lot, haven't they? And it's so ugly, and who fucking cares? Basically, who gives a shit? Is it going to create? Oh no, this side doesn't even create tokens. Target creature you control gets +X/+X. The number of creatures you control, including their reinforcements. Yeah, I don't give a flying shit about this card. Oh, I like this artwork though. Stromkeld Vanguard is a 6/7 for 14. When this creature attacks, target opposing creature with base power 2 or less gains can't block. Yeah, creatures can't block anyway. This is Magic Puzzle Quest. No creatures block. Who cares? What have we got over here? Destroy an opposing artifact or enchantment card with the greatest mana value at random. Okay, that is a good effect. I think that's probably going to cost about 10 mana. Oh, we've got to, while we're reminding Webcore not to do terrible things that Octagon did, can we stop them from individualizing all the different support types and just have them make some more demolishes? Yeah. Destroy target non-token, non-vanguard, non-land support. Fuck off! Just blow up target support. That's what we want to do. So yes, this is going to cost about 10 mana. It's probably going to be too expensive for what it does, but that is a decent effect, you know. Searching out a specific high value artifact or enchantment is a decent effect. This is probably not going to make any of my decks. And I'm almost certainly, I mean, I say that, I almost certainly will put this fucking 6/7. If I happen to be playing with this card in my deck, I almost certainly will put this side of the card down every so often. It's not actually because it's good. This is the reason you'd be playing with the thing, and I reckon this side's going to be too expensive. But, you know, might be okay. Maybe I don't mind that. 6 mana, 3/4, okay. Target creature gains Curse Roll, that turns it into a 1/1. And stun counter 1. Right. Which means it's not disabled, but it might be. That's what it means, doesn't it? That's what stun counter means. Because when they made stun counter, they forgot to make it work sensibly So it becomes stunned next turn. Not this turn, but next turn. But it does become a 1/1. So it becomes a 1/1. It stays a 1/1 until the token support gets blown up. So that's kind of okay, isn't it? Isn't that kind of okay? The downside that this has over Turn to Frog is quite simply that it doesn't actually kill the card. And the only reason we ever play with Turn to Frog, not true. The main reason we play with Turn to Frog is because we have to kill X of an opposing creatures in order to beat objectives. We do sometimes. I mean, there have been occasions in the past where we've wanted to lock up all of Greg's creature slots with small creatures like moon tokens and frog tokens. But now if we want to lock up Greg, do you know what we can do? We can do it with fucking Ariete of the Cursed Apple. That's who we can do it with. So it's an okay card. This is an okay card, this Ventress Transmuter, but I don't think it's going to trouble the scorer. Desperate. What's going on? Right. I got myself confused there. But so many identical looking things in a row. This is now a 3/4. Again, very similar. Yeah, that was a 3/4. This is a 3/4. Target creature gets -4, -0 till the beginning of your next turn. We don't care. Giant Soldier, yeah, don't care. What's the other side? Return type creature that costs 11 or less to your opponent's hand. Bad removal, innit? You know, it's yeah, it's better than a lot of cards you're going to put in your deck when you're mastering cards. You might even call this isn't good enough to be high shit tier. This is like mid shit tier, but it's better than a lot of cards you're going to have in your deck when you're mastering cards. But bad, definitely bad. Picklock Prankster. Well, that side's too small and uninteresting. Destroy the top 4 cards of your library. Then pick one of the first 4 spell or fairy cards from your graveyard. Fetch it. It gains 2 mana. Just does a lot. It's a lot of text to have barely any fucking effect on anything. Yeah, there's a mid shit. If there's a high shit tier, yeah, it necessitates the existence of a mid shit tier. I would have thought that goes without saying, yeah? Ferocious Werefox. Okay. Target creature you control gains the monster. What the hell is the monster roll? Let's go and check out what the monster roll is. Monster roll, +3/+3, and trample. Mid shit tier again then in that case, yeah, you know, because yeah, you've got a little equipment there on the side of a creature. Mid shit tier, definitely. Catch a trainee. Beginning your turn, this creature gains first strike. Nah, they've done the thing again, haven't they? The reason why creatures get first strike at the start of your turn is because in Paper Magic the Gathering, blocking creatures with first strike are too good. This is obviously Octagon designing this card. They don't know. They don't know their game is a different one from Paper. What have we got on the other side? Create 4 Rat Swarm tokens. Well, I mean, okay, if that's a 4/4 creature. Not even mid shit tier, but not low shit tier. We need more tiers. Fetch me more tiers. Human Warlock, we've got a little bit of menace going on in there. I like the art there, that's nice. Evil Queen doing her mirror thing. Is that Ariete? That looks like Ariete with her apple, doesn't it? Yeah, but it is. Target creature you control gains the Wicked roll. Let's just remind ourselves what the Wicked roll is. +1/+1, yeah, blah. Whatevs. Gingerbread Hunter. Nice. I like the art in particular. When this creature enters the battlefield, gain a food token. Rubbish. Token creature is -4/-4 until end of turn. Rubbish. Oh, it is interesting though. Look, that it's green on that side and black on that side. I'd not noticed that. Maybe that's been happening a lot recently. I mean, these are better commons and uncommons than we've seen in the past, aren't they? They're better. I'm not sure that's at all interesting because they're still unplayable. But I don't know about you, like I've reached a point with my mastery where, you know, when I want to master a lot of commons, I'm scrolling through pages of 10 mana 1/3s now, you know? So I guess I should be happy that 12 mana 5/5s exist when I'm having to play with utterly unplayable garbage to master cards. But at the end of the day, I don't have to master cards. I could play Slay the Spire, and you know what? I've been doing that quite a lot recently because it's really good. Play Slay the Spire, everybody. Tempest Heart. When you cast a card with base cost 15 or greater, this creature, well, that's shit. Oh, he's done it again, hasn't he? We're going to have to think of a name for this guy, the card designer. This isn't Kevin. Oh, no. I'm not saying Kevin's bad at doing this job. He just gets given all the shit jobs. No, this is the chief card designer at Octagon. And I do still think this is Octagon designing these cards. I don't think this is probably Webcore, although I don't know. We'll see when we get to the next set. The chief card designer sitting around going, oh, just wait until he sees the flip side of this card. It's going to blow his fucking mind. Yeah. Cast a card with a base cost 15 or greater. Oh, but this card doesn't have a mana cost 15 or greater. Boom! All of a sudden you go and look on the other side of the card, it's got a cost of 15 or greater. Oh, it probably doesn't actually. If it's discard up to 2 cards, then draw 2 cards. I mean, if the B side of this card has a cost of 15 or greater, then it's really fucking awful, isn't it? Wicked Roll is bonkers, go read it, says Goz. Right, okay, I'm just going to go and read Wicked Roll because maybe I missed it. At the beginning of your turn, your creatures with Wicked Roll get +1/+1 for each of their reinforcements until the beginning of your next turn. Is that bonkers? Is it? Is that bonkers? I don't think that's bonkers, Goz. My stack of Thopter Spy Network tokens is getting twice as big. Is that bonkers? I don't think that's bonkers. I can just wait a couple of turns for my stack of Thopter Spy Network tokens to get twice as big. That's the very nature of Thopter Spy Network. I get why people like effects like this that double up the size of their token stack. Generally, I don't like effects that double up the size of my token stack. Wicked second paragraph. Oh, okay, right. There's a second bit of the paragraph, right. When a creature with Wicked Roll loses Wicked Roll, is destroys or loses reinforcements, your opponent loses 3 life for each of that creature's reinforcements. Again, okay, fair enough. My large stack of Thopter Spy Network tokens, when it dies, will deal a bunch of damage to my opponent. You know how else my bunch of Thopter Spy Network tokens can deal a bunch of damage to my opponent? By just hitting him in the face over and over every single turn. And I don't need another card to make them do that. So, yeah. Okay, I'm not saying Wicked Roll's bad. I don't think it's broken. It's not exciting to me. It's okay. Maybe it will turn up on a good card. What was this? What card did it just turn up on? It turned up on this one, which is a 2/3 for 6 mana. Yeah, okay. I'm not excited enough to put this 6 mana 2/3 into my deck just to get access to Wicked Roll. Thanks very much. Moving along, Cheeky House Mouse is a 4 mana 2/1. That's dull. Target creature you control gets +1/+1 until end of turn. If your opponent controls a creature with reach, fuck off. Whatever it says at the end, I don't care. At the beginning of your turn, reduce this card's cost by X. until Avika and Loop does it in one turn. Yeah, but you've got to spend like 23 mana to put that bitch into play. Jesus Christ. Beginning of your turn, reduce this card's cost by X until the beginning of your next turn. X is the number of cards with adventure and spell cards in your graveyard. So if you go crazy with adventure cards, you can have some free 4/5s. Whatevs. Whatevs. Discard your hand, then draw 2 cards. That better be cheap. Yes, guys. You have fun with Wicked Roll, guys. Make us a nice video with your Wicked Roll. Your Wicked Roll is very nice. So yeah, I've not really seen any evidence that there's a broken, because right at the start, didn't we? We saw that that adventure fetching and dumping and putting into your hand and adding mana to mythic card, didn't we? I've not particularly seen any evidence that there's a crazy adventure, but maybe there is. Maybe for playing Fables of Eldraine, maybe there'll be a really good kind of collection of adventure cards for playing those really irritating levels of Fable. I fucking hate Fables of Eldraine so much. That event. So maybe there's a good collection of adventure-y cards now to do that with. When this creature attacks, if you control a creature with power 4 or greater, this creature gains double strike. Okay. Obviously, double strike is a good thing. Everything else written there, though, is not a good thing. Creature you can roll +1/+1, right? Could do with being +2/+2, really, couldn't it? To make a 2/2 into a 4/4. Don't like. Galvanic Giant. When you cast a card with base cost 15 or greater, okay, maybe this is a little theme that they have going on in their deck. Opposing creature with the greatest power gains stun counter 1. That seems terrible, doesn't it? Discard up to 2 cards, then draw up to 4 cards. Those cards gain 2 mana. 2 mana, not really enough. How much do we think that costs? Honestly, I don't know. That could cost any amount. That could cost any amount from 2 mana to 15 mana, as far as I'm concerned. And if it's 2 mana, it's good, and if it's 15 mana, it's not. Who knows? It's nice if they've put more information with the adventure cards now. At least they've put the adventure cards and the flip side of the adventure cards next to each other in the roster and in the gallery, haven't they? So we've got more information than we often have when they do a card release. But you know, mana costs are kind of important. When this creature enters the battlefield, your opponent discards the last card without mana from their hand. I don't care at all. Drain mana from the first card in your opponent's hand. I don't care at all. When you match an artifact or land supports gems, draw a card. Rubbish. Oh, if it can trigger only once per turn. Yeah, definitely rubbish. Create a gold token. Rubbish. He's done it again. There he is. Create a gold token. Hey, hey. Immodane's Recruiter. When this creature enters the battlefield, creatures you control get +1/+0 and haste. Then creatures you control get +1/+0 and haste. Just all that text. I just don't like it. I've never liked the reinforcements thing anyway. The only reason they fucking started counting reinforcements is that they could do City's Blessing. Do you know that? Before that, they never used to count the number of reinforcements on cards. Yeah, Thopter Spice Network stack just used to be a big stack of things that happened to have a total of 4/4. But they started counting the number of reinforcements, so they could write the City's Blessing mechanic in Ixalan. Has anyone ever given a flying shit about the City's Blessing? No, never. Nobody has ever fucking cared about it. It's just a fucking, it's just so much extra text for no fucking reason whatsoever. And I hate it. And this card is not good. And the other side of it says create 2 night tokens. Yeah, okay, whatevs. Whatevs. It's a creature. Target creature gains double strike. Yeah, okay, maybe. How much do you think that costs? Maybe 6. If that costs 6, is that a thing? Not for me, it's not a thing. Maybe it's a thing for you. Maybe you all like it out there. I'm getting a bit bored of these adventure cards. Are we going? How are we doing? Are we halfway through the set yet? Oh God. Where are we? Oh, they printed them out of, yeah, they printed, look, this is Imadane's Recruiter, which starts with an I, and Two-Headed Hunter, that starts with a T. They've printed them all out of sequence, haven't we? So we actually have no idea. And of course, Facebook isn't going to give me a scroll bar. Academy Elite with Wicked Roll. Yes, very good. Why not just fucking play Academy Elite and hit people until they die? Why not just do that? I feel like I'm flagging. I feel I'm getting sick of all these really boring adventure cards. So maybe, how long have we been going for? Yes, we have been going for 2 hours. Maybe we'll do a few more cards tonight and then call it a night and hope that there's enough left in the set that we can do a part 2. Yeah, so let's do 3. Let's say 3 more cards. That gives us a little tiny bit of hope that we'll get a really good card before the end of the night. We'll do 3 more cards and then we will call it a night and we'll do part 2 later in the week. Thanks everyone for being in. Don't go yet because there might just be a really amazing card. Spoiler alert, it's probably not going to be Chewing Veil Guide. Let's have a look. The start of combat on your turn, celebration, this creature gets +1/+0 and lifelink. So if you play 2 more cards, it gets +1/+0 and lifelink. Right. You know what I'm going to say. I don't even need to say it. Just make it a 3/3 lifelink creature. I said it anyway. Twisted Sewer Rich. When this card enters the battlefield, create a Rat Swarm token. What do we think that is? I think that's a 1/1 rat creature, but we don't know, do we? Then your rat creatures gain the Wicked Roll. Okay, well maybe a rat swarm token sounds like it gets bigger every turn, doesn't it? That artwork is ace, isn't it? Isn't that good artwork? That looks like kind of classic Ron Spencer artwork. In that it's, you know, it's very evil and a bit plastic looking as well, you know. But I like that style. It's a cool style. It's not Ron Spencer, isn't it? Who's that? It says something on the wall, but I can't read what it says. Anyway, I like the artwork. I don't necessarily like the card very much. This is the last one, isn't it? Is this going to be completely broken? Let's have a look. Up the beanstalk. When this card, this 5 mana support, enters the battlefield, draw a card. When you cast a card with base cost 15 or greater, draw a card, it gains 3 mana. How much does Blade Core Serpent cost? I mean, maybe there's some mileage in that. Maybe there's some mileage in the fact that Blade Core Serpent is a... I mean, not for this card particularly, but, you know, you never know. You know, you play this and you're going loopity with your Blade Cores and whatever, and this is drawing cards every turn. Maybe there's some mileage in that. That's just what I'm thinking. Is there just some crazy looping going on? And if you are playing a crazy looping deck with a card that costs 15 mana in it, then that card is probably going to be Blade Coil, isn't it? So I don't think that's going to be a card, but you never know. It might be something for the combo players. It might be a little bit of card draw for them. Who knows? Right, let's call it an evening for the evening. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming in. How many people have we got in these days? 4 whole people we've got in the room at the moment. Thank you. Oh, I just wandered away from my tablet. I bet I went all quiet there, didn't I? When shall we do part 2? I don't know, to be honest. Not tomorrow night. We'll definitely give it a break for at least a night. The day today is it Monday or Tuesday, isn't it? Well, technically it's Wednesday here right now. Yeah, thank you very much, peeps. I think we will aim for, so keep an eye out for Thursday evening at the same time, 10 o'clock. And of course, I will post on socials and in the Discord and things. This video will hopefully stay up on YouTube now. They always used to vanish from Twitch, which used to be really irritating. Hopefully this will stay up on YouTube. I think I'm going to have to fiddle around with some settings to make it not private. I might ask some people's advice, like the excellent Mr. Gozmaster, who posts videos every week, I believe. And you should all go and check out his things. And Mr. Mainloop as well. I think posts every week. You post every week, don't you? I think so. So yeah, check out all of those things, and I'll probably be conversing with them as to how to make my bloody YouTube channel work a bit, because I'm kind of new to YouTube, even though my channel is many years old. I've posted almost nothing on it. So keep an eye on the channel and the usual forms of address, and we will probably reconvene on Thursday. Okie dokie. Right. Goodbye, people. How do I get out of this now? You presume you press that. You press X. Yes, I think you press X and then you go. All right.